Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
And we are the FAIRtax guys. And we are coming to you live from Big Daddy Studios. We are live 2 weeks in a row. How about that? We do have some little schedule accommodations we had to make. That means we're going to have to be pre-recorded next week. Yeah. But so we came back live this week, and then 2 weeks from today, big programming note, that's when we'll have Congressman Yoho here to talk about hopefully the fair tax and tax reform and stuff like that. So looking forward to that. Plan to be with us here in 2 weeks, same time, same channel here on the FAIRtax Power Radio, and we have Congressman Yoho. So that's going to be good. But next week we'll be on pre-recorded, but you'll probably be around making comments. I will be at the doctor's office getting all poked and prodded and whatever, and that's loads of fun. So,
you mean next week?
Next. That's one of the reasons we have to be pre-recorded next week, because I've got this appointment next Wednesday at the doctor's office. Good morning to Sandy. Thank you for checking in with us. And let's see, we will advise folks, if you can, to please share this video to your social media so we can get as much. Oh, wait a minute. It wants me to confirm it. Okay, yes, I do want to share it. So. As we did live, but the beauties of being on live television like this, we can do stuff like that. I have got a first order of business that we need to take care of.
Yes. Let's get this cleared up.
I have officially received my parole from the Wally Canine Compound. Now, those of you who are listening to one of the audio-only podcasts can't see this, but I have in my hand a genuine, yes, I am a dinosaur, LG flip phone. And you open the thing up here, and you go to the messages, and this is quoting from Jade here. It says, you are formally released from your leash and muzzle and 100% forgiven.
Yes.
Thank you.
You got to give people the history.
Yes, that's it. Well, the history was that a couple of weeks ago we were talking about our trip to Oklahoma. Jade Wiley, the guy that does the quarterly webcast, a very smart guy, CPA, partner at one of the biggest firms out there. And he teaches this graduate level practicum course out in Oklahoma. And I mistakenly said it was at the University of Oklahoma when it was actually at Oklahoma State. Yeah. And
let us know.
Shortly after the broadcast where the erroneous information was disseminated, I got a little thing says you are admonished, and we explained it to me, and I understood very well, because you don't mix up Gators and Seminoles. Right. You don't mix up Tar Heels and Wolfpacks. So apparently, I'm not sure what I know Oklahoma's the Sooners. I'm not sure what Oklahoma is. Cowboys. Okay. You don't mix them up either. Yep. So, and I did, and so, but Jade, in his infinite mercy, has forgiven me for getting that mixed up. And again, we'll be going out there on the 24th of May. That's a Friday. Yep. Of course, our normal broadcast day is on Wednesday, so we're still going to try to figure out a way to do a broadcast from there, whether we can actually do it live or whether we'll have to pre-record it and bring it back to our FAIRtax Power Radio show.
Yeah, we're not sure. We're waiting for their IT people to respond to us.
There's some logistics we still have to work out, but the FAIRtax guys will be in Oklahoma.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. That's going to be and we're actually going to be presenting to graduate level CPA students. So this is going to be interesting, because Bob and I are not CPAs.
We're not graduate level students either, but we got lots of experience in the school of life, but we'll work on that. Yeah. Something else we need to get on to, a note we got from Jim Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
FAIRtax Power Radio works. We got this a couple of weeks ago. Apparently there's a gentleman in Washington State. His name was Ted Davis. Let me send he sent a message. He saw Jim when we had Jim on the program here a few weeks ago. He saw that program, and we were asking folks that needed to help getting started with a FAIRtax group to get a hold of Jim, and we'll help out anybody that wants to get a FAIRtax group started anywhere in the country. And he says, "Hi, Jim, I just heard you on the FAIRtax Guys radio app. Thank you very much. How can I join or start a FAIRtax group in Washington State? I have a very demanding full-time job. I try to do something every day to advance the FAIRtax." He says, "I'm a software guy, so working with a database will be easy. I am sure they can use him somewhere, somehow."
Gabe, can you put that graphic up there?
Yeah, it was good to hear that folks that saw FAIRtax Power Radio, that we are accomplishing the purpose for which we're here, trying to get folks involved in the FAIRtax thing. And speaking thereof, you can call us there. We'll get the phone number here in just a second. But what have we got here, Ron? For folks that are on the podcast and can't see this, you'll have to explain it to them.
Okay, this is Americans for Fair Taxation are looking for volunteers to handle certain concepts, and we stress volunteers. There are no paid positions in the national or any of the state organizations. So they need a creative content specialist, they need a video and graphic specialist, an engagement specialist, an editor for Facebook, and a booker or media placement specialist. So if you want to contact the FAIRtax guys at thefairtaxguys@gmail.com, we can send you the information and we can put you in touch with Randy, who's in charge of this. So
now speaking of Randy, he is not with us today online. He's
at a conference in D.C.
He is at a conference in D.C. getting a personal tour of the White House. Now, how cool is that?
That was yesterday, and the conference starts today, and I've been encouraging Randy. There's going to be several notable people there, like Ben Ferguson and so forth. And, Ben has his own show. It'd be nice if he wanted to interview the FAIRtax guys.
That would be cool. I think we're down with that. But we'll see that. So those of you who are used to Randy answering in the comments to the video as we're streaming this live, you'll have to forgive his absence. We will try. I'll try. Ron, you can try too. We'll try to get to some of them as we can. Jim Bennett's out there. He says he's listening. So Jim, we're just talking about you. Maybe he can help us out with any questions or comments that might show up in the comments. But then again, we are live. You can call us at 888-787-8023, 888-787-8023 if you have a question or a comment that needs addressing. Good morning to Laurie Knoll. She's with us this morning. And, let's see. Oh, you're talking to her already. Look at that. Okay. All right.
I'm trying.
Something we want to get into here before too much longer, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover, and we'll just keep going.
I think the show is going to take about 3 hours today.
I don't know. We'll just keep going until we run out of time. But I saw something on the Fox News website a couple of days ago. Big headline, and I printed it out. It says, minimum wage hikes trigger payroll tsunami as small businesses cut back. And we have been saying for years and years, and of course that triggered something in the head that a couple of weeks ago, this is exactly something that Steve Hayes was talking about in his chairman's report. And he said, and this is quoting from the chairman's report of March 1st, now, some people might say all you need to do is have the government pass legislation requiring a higher minimum wage or a guaranteed base income for all. However, for many employers, a rapid increase in labor costs may make them unable to compete with imported products that are subsidized by our income payroll tax system. Now, I would like to compliment Steve on his incredible clairvoyance, but Ray Charles could have seen this one coming. I'll tell you what's happening is that I think 20 states at least are raising the minimum wage, and businesses just can't handle it.
Now, raising the minimum wage does not bring you more business.
No, it incentivizes employers to automate and to cut back on hours, if not get rid of minimum wage workers entirely. When the government demands that the employer pay someone more than the free market says that their skills and experience is worth, you got a problem.
This is what happens when you have people in the legislature, whether it be the federal government or a state government, because I remember this happening. My parents had a mom and pop dry cleaning and laundry show. This happened way back when I was a teenager, and I remember the same type of thing. All right, people in the legislature who have never run a business, have never had to make a payroll, but they've decided that the businesses should pay more to their employees.
Well, I think they're under the mistaken impression that businesses, even small businesses, are just artesian wells of cash.
Yeah.
These people aren't paying their workers because they're greedy and they're trying to keep everything for themselves. When the truth is, even a small increase in the minimum wage really hits some of these smaller businesses in the bottom line to the point where they literally cannot afford to do it. And when the government mandates that you do something you cannot afford to do, you have to get rid of the problem. You lay off the minimum wage worker.
That's right. And that's usually what happens when something like this goes into effect. People lose their jobs because there's only so much income. Now, if there was some magical way that increasing the minimum wage also brought more business to the business, more customers, more income, but that's not the way it works. Right? And how do we and this is related to our tax code, all right? Bob's got a report here from Congress.gov.
Yeah, I want to read a little bit from this Fox News article.
Let's finish this before we...
While proposals to raise pay are intended to help workers, a noble idea, Several mom and pop coffee shops as well as restaurants are responding by cutting hours, eliminating jobs, or closing down entirely because they can't keep up with the rising wages required under the law.
It's very sad.
It's the ugly side to the highly touted wage hikes, economists say, adding that the bumps can unleash a payroll tsunami for small businesses already stretched thin from rising rents and soaring healthcare costs. And this is a quote from Forbes, from this is a Greek name. I'm not even going to try it. But he wrote in Forbes, for some of these businesses, the minimum wage hikes tip the balance between staying in business or going out of business. And so, it's quite clear from this that the government mandating higher wages for people in an effort to raise someone's standard of living just doesn't work.
No, it just doesn't work. And unfortunately, that attitude spills over into Congress with our current tax code, because they're up to how many
all right, let's wait a minute.
tax proposals.
I got to change tabs on the computer.
Go to congress.gov.
Congress.gov.
And in the search bar, you put in quotes, Internal Revenue Code, and you'll get up how many?
And as of right now, you'll get 482 hits on that search.
482 proposals to change the tax code.
And how many days have they been in session?
43. I had my calendar here. That today is their 43rd day that the House is in session.
I just noticed
480 divided by 43.
I tried to do that last week and I messed up, so I'm not going to do it again. But it's over 10.
Yeah, it's more than 10 proposals per day that they're in session to change the tax code. When are they ever going to stop proposing to change this tax code and make it more and more complicated?
I don't know. I just noticed
when we get the fair tax.
When we get the fair tax. I just noticed a friend of mine, Bert Bertram, has joined us this morning. Good morning, Bert. Thank you for checking in with us.
Yeah.
But Steve has the right idea. If you want to lift people's standard of living, put upward pressure on wages, he says you make employees more valuable. And let me get into some of this stuff that Steve put into.
Absolutely.
He took a comparative look between fast food workers in New York City and fast food workers in Fargo, North Dakota, and listed the following facts. The minimum wage in North Dakota is $7.25 an hour. That's $7.25 times 40 equals $290 a week. That's the minimum wage in North Dakota. In New York City, the minimum wage is $11.10 an hour, which is $444 a week. But you compare what the law requires to what the actuality is. A fast food worker in Fargo, North Dakota actually earns $10.24 an hour, which is about $410 a week, which is well above the $7.25 minimum wage. The fast food worker in New York City earns $11.32 an hour, just barely above the minimum wage. So the question becomes, why is it that a worker in Fargo is paid $3 more per hour than the minimum wage requires? And the answer is in the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate in North Dakota is 2.7%. In New York City, it's close to 4%.
Yeah.
And so, if businesses are having to compete for workers, then they've got to pay them more.
That's right.
And they've got to provide some training and education to some other people who otherwise might not be employable.
And some benefits. I mean, they're looking for customers. Now they're looking for employees.
So here we go. If you want to raise somebody's standard of living, you lower the unemployment rate. And how do you do that? With a fair tax.
Yeah, there you go.
The fair tax will do that. And again, I'm not really going to go through all of this. This is a highly involved article. I will advise you to go to fairtax.org. Look under, I think, the news section on the little banner up at the top, and under there's a Chairman's Report archive. This is from the Chairman's Report for March 1st.
And also, there's another place to get the Chairman's Report.
Oh, yes.
That's on the FAIRtax Official YouTube channel, because my partner here has been recording the chairman's reports, and we've been making a very simple YouTube out of them. All right, Bob's golden voice and a picture of Steve Hayes, who is the author of the chairman's report. Yes. And that's on the YouTube channel for FAIRtax Official.
So if you'd like to get a copy of it in your own inbox to have it emailed to you, you can sign up there at fairtax.org, also bigsolution.org, or you can watch the audio version on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways, but it's good information. Steve does. I don't know where he finds the time to do all this because Steve's still working full time.
Oh yeah, but he's still a recovering tax attorney, right?
Yeah.
But it's amazing though that Steve addressed this just with a few weeks before it actually happened.
Yep.
You know, he says
that's kind of spooky, isn't it?
You cannot mandate a rise in the minimum wage without damaging the people that you're trying to help. So if you really want to help them, do stuff that lowers the unemployment rate. And then the natural forces within the free market will put upward pressure on the wages and will also kind of put pressure on businesses to educate and you know, people that otherwise might not be, you know, employable.
Yeah. So great work by Steve and for Bob for finding this too. We get some good stuff. That one was from Fox News, right?
The payroll tsunami story was from Fox News a couple of days ago. Yeah. And it said that it's just common sense, you know. Businesses are not artesian wells full of cash. You cannot put these additional requirements on them and expect them just, oh, okay, no problem.
It also makes the point that we need to elect people in Congress. We need to elect different people in Congress that have varied backgrounds instead of career politicians who have never had to exist in the business world, in the private sector. Yeah. And really don't know how it works.
Yeah, I've never run a business, but you have. You had your trucking business.
Yeah, well, it's not easy.
What would have happened if you had been mandated to pay, you know, folks another $2 an hour over and above what you were doing already? You could not stay in business.
Yeah, we had a truck leasing business, and the contract was that you get a certain percentage of what you gross every month. So the harder you work, the more we all do. We paid for the maintenance, they paid for the fuel. So if somebody could come across and said, well, no, you have to pay them this, we just would have folded up. All right, we're selling the trucks, we're going out of business. We can't do this government mandated thing. We have a good thing here going here. People, we lease them good trucks. They work hard. They do well. Okay. They don't work hard. They don't do well. Neither do we.
Wow.
Yeah. So government mandate there would have destroyed the business.
So let me finish up a little bit with some points from Steve's chairman's report here from March 1st. How the fair tax will help bring the unemployment rate down, because that's what we're here for. We are here promoting the fair tax as the solution to a lot of problems, and unemployment is one of them. Now, he says that there's no longer any debate among economists that the fair tax will grow the economy much more rapidly than the current income payroll tax system. Because capital is not taxed, investment capital will pour into the United States under the fair tax. More capital investment leads to higher productivity. Higher productivity leads to higher wages for all workers. Unemployment rates will plummet even more. Now, 2.7 in North Dakota is not bad. Retail prices will be lower, and companies will be forced to recruit and train previously unemployable people and pay them higher wages to provide more benefits to keep them from moving on to higher paid employment. So that is what the fair tax does to bring down unemployment. Because you think about, we've talked about the incredible compliance costs. Yep. What businesses have to pay their accountants, their CPAs, and people like Steve, their tax attorneys. When businesses no longer have those expenses posted on them, voila, now they've got the money to pay people with.
Yeah,
the fair tax helps that out dramatically.
Yep, the fair tax makes it easier for businesses to do business. All right, businesses exist to make a profit. They don't. I mean, some people won't believe this. They don't exist to create jobs. They do create jobs, and they need to hire people to run the business. But the number of people they need depends on the level of business. So when you make it easier to do business and easier for them to make a profit or increase their profits, then they want to expand. All right, they want to hire more people because they want to expand the business. All right, it's not because you're mandating that they pay more to the people they have. That actually hurts the people. So fair tax simplifies all that nonsense, gets Congress out of the the mom and pop boardroom, and lets the private sector do the private sector. The fair tax just makes it easier to do business so that they can do more business. It's that simple.
All right, time is running out of us. We have, time really flies when you're having fun here. Yeah. You got a pretty neat little question we want to address.
Yep, this came across just a couple of days ago. All right, and actually I've got it backwards here. A fellow by the name of Lance and says, I love the fair tax, and would the fair tax have an easier time passing if we also did something to make members of Congress' lives easier? So, along that line, would it be feasible to write into the fair tax legislation an increase from, say, 23% to 25% to create a national general campaign fund? Some predetermined portion of the general campaign could be used by any politician or candidate in pursuit of elected office. Fundraising seems to be a constant pain point for politicians. Also, politicians seem to receive pressure from donors and their political party to vote their way based on donations. Please forgive me if it's blasphemy to suggest a change in the fair tax, or if this question was already raised, but thank you.
Well, he's got a very sound idea. The way you get something passed is to make it beneficial for the swamp creatures. And we would love to make the fair tax beneficial to the swamp creatures. We're just not sure that this particular proposal is going to work, because I tell you what, there's already on your 1040 form, the federal income tax, a little checkbox if you want to send some money into a publicly financed campaign fund. I don't know what the statistics are, but I don't think too awfully many people check that. And a lot of people, when they make political donations, kind of want to direct it to the candidates that they support.
That's right.
And if you're just, contributing into a common pool, you could very well be contributing to somebody who is diametrically opposed to your values and what you'd like them to do.
Yeah, I'd prefer to support the candidates I want to support. Yeah. So I sent this question out. I have my own thoughts about this, but I wanted to hear from some of the others. So Karen Walby, she's the director of research for the national group, the Americans for Fair Taxation, and we are lucky enough to have her on the Florida Board of Directors too. Okay, she's
an economist.
Yep. I said, check this out. She said, well, that idea would go over like a lead balloon, as my mom used to say. I don't donate to campaign fund checkoff because that is on the income tax. I want the discretion as to which politician gets my donations. So that was her response, which was pretty much what we said. I'd prefer to donate to the candidates that I think is important to donate, the ones that really need my money and so forth. And that's actually what I do. And Steve Hayes said, agree with Karen. We are all, and here's the other point, we are all about collecting money for the Treasury, not proposing how it to be spent. And that's probably an even more important point. The fair tax is a revenue bill. It is not involved in how the money is spent. Some people criticize us for that, but it's a revenue bill. It's a tax bill. It's a revenue. How the government gets its money. We cannot dilute it by getting into, making suggestions on how it's spent. That's important. Yes, it's very important, and the public needs to be engaged because a lot of us don't think that Congress does a good job in wisely spending our money. But it's not the job of the fair tax to even suggest how they spend their money. So, Lance, thanks for the question. It is a good, thought-provoking question.
But I think he's really on to something. How do we make it beneficial to the Congress critters so they'll pass it? Anybody have any ideas? We'll be glad to hear you. TheFairtaxGuys@gmail.com. And I'll tell you what, we'll be talking to one of the Congress critters in 2 weeks. We'll have Ted Yoho here.
Yep.
So if you have any suggestions on how you can make the fair tax a self-beneficial thing to the Congress critters, so right now it represents the greatest transfer of power from the Congress critters, the ruling class, back to the people. So there are a lot of people that up there don't like the fair tax. The swamp creatures don't like it because it would cost them their ability to control folks.
Yeah.
So he's really got a good idea, though. How do you make it beneficial to the Congress critters? So we'll check that out.
That is good. That's the fair tax has been in Congress for 20 years now.
Oh, Sandy's got a good one. Using that logic, one should consider a fund earmarked only for a Congress critter that will agree to the fair tax. After all, that's what lobbying is. Sandy, I think you just knocked that one out of the park.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right, we got about 7 minutes left, and you got something from Politico you want to share.
Yeah, there's Randy turned me on to this. Politico.com, they have a daily email called the Morning Tax. And I go through it every day to see if there's something that pertains, to what we're doing here. And I get a few of them, This one, short of cash. This was from March 28th. Companies have repatriated some $665 billion in offshore cash to the U.S. last year in 2018. And they have to put this in, well short of President Trump's what President Trump once predicted. Yeah, he was saying that $4 trillion would come back. Well, may over a period of 10 years.
Well,
but anyways,
still a lot of skydiving money.
Now, they made the point that in 2017, the figure was 155 billion. Now, 2017, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act passed in December, late 2017. So it wasn't there to have an effect on the economy. What was going on with President Trump that would encourage 155 billion to be repatriated? He was cutting back on regulations. Mm-hmm. First thing he did when he got in office was he insisted that the bureaucrats cut back on regulations. They want to write a new regulation, they have to get rid of 2 old ones that are not being used anymore. And that made it easier for people to do business, and they started bringing some of this cash offshore. Then, with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which took effect in 2018, it reduced the repatriation tax greatly, you know, from like 35% down to 15, or in some cases 8. Well, that cash started flowing back into the country to the tune of 655 billion. Now, even if that didn't match the president's expectations, it's still pretty good. And we saw companies giving bonuses, talking about opening up new offices and building new structures and so forth. You know, that's what the fair tax does. Yeah, the fair tax cuts regulations, and it makes it easier for businesses to do business.
Yeah, that thing in December cut the corporate tax, the highest corporate tax back from 39% down to 21%. And you saw what would happen.
Yeah.
What would happen if you changed that 21 to 0?
There you go.
That question has been asked to major international corporations, and the answer is we would come to the United States in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
If that was the law of the land here. No income tax, which means, now, of course, corporations really don't pay income tax. They just collect it and pass it on because it becomes a cost of doing business that's embedded into the cost of their products and services that they sell. But they have to go through all kinds of hoops, the compliance costs, what they have to pay tax attorneys, the man hours they have to spend complying with the tax code. Just the compliance is worse than the tax liability itself. And if all of that goes out the window with the fair tax, because the fair tax replaces both individual and corporate income taxes. Yep. The entire income tax system goes away with the fair tax. Now, that is outside of most people's box of thinking. You know, people have just lived with the income tax so long, you realize that it does not have to be that way. The fair tax gets rid of the income tax. And that's why we are pushing so hard for it here, because it's such a much better system.
Yeah, that's right. I got one more, and then we have to wrap it up, all right?
Okay.
This one is from March 27th, improvement advice. Better taxpayer education would help the IRS cut back on errant payments through the EITC. That's the Earned Income Tax Credit, all right, which has become, anyways. According to a new blog post from Nina Olson, the National Taxpayer Advocate, her office has sent letters to taxpayers who made error filing the EITC claims over a couple of years and compared subsequent claims to those who didn't get the correspondence. If you want to make it easier for people to abide by the tax law, get rid of them.
Get rid of the tax code.
Get rid of the income tax. You won't need this stuff. People won't be confused about it because it won't be there. All right, you know, why do we keep beating our head against the wall? You know, because it really does feel good when you stop. This whole nonsense about EITC and these other aspects of the income tax, it all goes away with the fair tax. And you go to the store, you buy something, the fair tax is included, you're done. You know, it drops the compliance costs for businesses about 80-90%, makes it easier for them to do business. Everybody is better off with the fair tax. Everybody except the lobbyists and the career politicians.
Yes.
All right. So, anyways, there's a way to do this, and it's a lot easier than educating people about the EITC payments. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Real quickly, a note from Rob McLean. Look at the amount of reinvestment that would occur. I run a small business that would benefit greatly from another body. He wants to hire somebody. Under the fair tax, he'd be able to afford one. Yeah. So there we go.
There you go. And that would be repeated millions of times.
Thank you, Rob.
Millions of times. Thanks, Rob. We really appreciate that. It's great to get some feedback from our...
It is.
Yeah.
I miss Randy, though. We'll have to have him back next week.
Yeah, next week I think he'll be home and he'll be at the keyboard. But right now, he's up there schmoozing the people in Washington, D.C., seeing if we can get the FAIRtax guys on one of these guys' show.
That'll work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got about a minute and a half left.
Okay. FAIRtaxLogoStore.org. FAIRtaxLogoStore.org. All right. This is how you can visibly show your support for the fair tax. You can buy a package of these palm cards with information about the fair tax and websites and so forth, so that when you're talking to your friends and neighbors about the fair tax, you can give them some information. You can, or you can get these. We call them the prebate cards. Basic information about the fair tax on one side and the prebate schedule on the other side. People love to see, yeah, I got a family of 4. I'm going to get $648 a month through the prebate.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So shirts, hats, jackets, umbrellas, tote bags, travel mugs. There's just all kinds of things. You can get these pins, all right, and put these on you know, wear them on your shirt or the strap of your purse and so forth. All kinds of things. And one of our favorite items, these.
Yes. Take these
these
Take these to a Congress Critters town hall.
Yeah.
That'll get his attention.
All kinds of stuff there. So go to FAIRtaxLogoStore.org, purchase something, and we don't make a profit on this, honestly. We don't make a profit on that. We actually lose money on the store, but that's because we want to get the stuff out to the public to show their support, all right? So get a fair tax hat and wear it like I do. So.
All right. Sandy says, always enlightening, gentlemen. See you in 2 weeks. Hope Mr. Paxton is recovering by then. It's just a routine thing. I'm not really, they're not going to put me in the hospital or anything, I certainly hope. But we will be here next week pre-recorded.
Yeah,
so
and that's going to be a good one. You're going to like that one.
Yeah, we got some really cool stuff here that you want to check. And then again, in 2 weeks, you'll certainly want to be with us to catch Congressman Yoho.
Yeah, that's going to be wonderful.
And we are
he's one of the good guys.
Indeed. We are indeed out of time, too, here on this edition of FAIRtax Power Radio. Thank you so much for watching/listening. Until we meet again, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
The FAIRtax guys reminding you that the fair tax is America's big solution, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Oh, these income tax forms are way too complicated. There's got to be a better way. Who are you?
We're the FAIRtax guys.
We've got a big solution for you.
What's that?
It's the fair tax. Completely eliminates the federal income tax system as we know it. No more withholding, no more payroll taxes, no more tax returns ever, no more IRS. All gone. And I guarantee you, once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Yeah.